How can a reader visit Ireland without buying some books there? Hello, welcome to my channel, Another Bibliophile Reads. My name is Greg, and I recently got back from a 12-day tour around Ireland. I landed in Dublin, went south up the west coast and through the north in Belfast, and then back to Dublin. Now, this video is not going to be about my travels. This video is going to be about the books and book-related material that I picked up on my travels. I might make a travel video later, but this is really just essentially a book haul video with some odds and ends. I did pick up this fancy Irish hat while I was there, but the rest of this video will be about the books. Now, I said I landed in Ireland, and the first night I was there, I went to Davy Byrne's Tavern. This tavern is featured in James Joyce's novel Ulysses. They have a first edition sign. I think it's signed at the tavern. It's behind lock and key in a case, but I got to see a first edition of Ulysses. Now, this is just a little pamphlet with some literary history that you might pick up going to Davy Byrne's Tavern. It was free. It's interesting. Also in Dublin, I went to Trinity College. I picked up this nice little image of Samuel Beckett. There is this place called The Long Room, which is essentially a big room filled with some very old books. When I was there, a lot of the books were gone. The books are being restored because they're that old. But go check out Trinity College if you can and look at The Long Room. I also picked up a bunch of postcards from Ireland. I have not sent postcards to everyone I promised a postcard to. Sorry about that. You will get a postcard, although it won't be posted from Ireland. And one of the amazing things about Ireland is almost every small town has a bookstore. At least in my area of Virginia, that is not the case. And in Ireland, they have bookmarks. I love bookmarks. I love collecting bookmarks. Now, some of these bookmarks are going to be sent to friends, so I'm not going to keep them all. So maybe some people will be receiving some bookmarks in the mail. And now on to the books. Now, Ireland carries a lot of books. Most of the books available in Ireland are available in the United States. I was trying to find specifically Irish books not available in the United States. That really didn't happen too much. So I had to settle a little bit. And in downtown Dublin, there was a big bookstore, and it was Horror Mayhem, where I promised to read a horror short story every day. So I picked up this collection of The Flesh, 18 modern horror stories. In this collection, published in 2024, it is mostly British and European authors writing short horror fiction. I read a few of the first stories, and they were pretty good, actually. They have J.K. Chakwu, don't know that author, Bridget Collins, Maria Inquires, Michael Fiber, Lewis Hancox, Amelia Hart, and some others. I'm going to finish this collection. They were pretty good modern horror stories. And then also in Dublin, I was looking through a secondhand store, and I came across this gem. This is Nicor with the exclamation point by Peter Tremayne. This is a horror novel about some sort of sea monster. It was originally published in 1987. I do have a digital copy of this book that I read for Garbogust a few years ago. As I said, it's not great, but you have this great old paperback. This is a Sphere paperback, and this cost me a whopping euro. That's right, just €1. I found it tucked away in a corner of this bookshelf, out of the way. I'm not absolutely positive I was supposed to be in that corner, but they had no sign saying I wasn't allowed there. So I picked up this gem of horror fiction. As again, only €1. Now comes to other books that I wanted to pick up. I had to make some decisions on some of the books that I wanted to buy. Again, a lot of the books available in Ireland are available in the United States, but I wanted to pick up some Irish fiction. Now, this is Prophet Song by Paul Lynch. It did win the Booker Prize a few years ago and is considered a classic of dystopian fiction set in Ireland. On a dark, wet evening in Dublin, scientist and mother of four, Elise Stack answers her front door to find the GNSB on her step. Two officers from Ireland's newly formed secret police want to interrogate her husband, Larry, a trade unionist. Ireland is falling apart. The country is in the grip of a government turning towards tyranny, and when her husband disappears, Elise finds herself caught within the nightmare logic of a society that is quickly unraveling. Soon she must decide just how far she is willing to go to keep her family safe. Again, this is supposed to be a really great anti-authoritarian novel. I could have easily picked this up on Kindle from the United States, but since this is a story about Ireland, I decided to get the Irish edition, or should I say the UK edition of this book. I'm really looking forward to reading it. And then I was in Cork, and in their bookstores, they just had stacks and stacks and stacks of this book. It is Said the Dead. I'm going to just show you the author's name. If I tried to pronounce it, I would mispronounce it, and I'm just going to let you read it. This was on sale, and an equivalent of sort of a huge superstore-like entity. I'm not sure what the equivalent. Not like Walmart, but just a lot of items in there. And so I picked this up for only €16.99. This book is not available in print in the United States as of yet. It is going to be published, I believe, in September. So I'm going to try to read this and review it before its release in the United States. Let me give you just a brief description from this fancy French flap about what this book is about. In the city of Cork, a derelict Victorian mental hospital is being converted into modern apartments. One passerby has always flinched as she passes the place. Had she lived there another time, she too might have found herself held within its walls. Now she notices a sign, for sale. It is the first of many signs. Guided by an irresistible impulse, she follows them. Soon she is trespassing, stealing, absconding from the routine of mother, spouse, daughter, as she uncovers a chorus of startling voices, those of the women who knew the hospital best. They murmur from archives, from old records. They haunt from the stairwells and wells. In them, and in one figure in particular, she found meaning and solace, righteous anger, salvation even, or her final vanishing. So this is just a modern Irish novel set in Cork. They had a lot of copies in Cork. I guess she's a local author, not positive. Or maybe it's just the thrill of reading a novel set in the town that you live in. Cork was a really interesting town to visit. So I've got to read this before September. Irish Ghosts and Hauntings by Michael God, one of the things that I wanted to do was in Ireland was read some Irish ghost stories and horror stories set in Ireland. I did pick up this book. Unfortunately, the tour I was on was very regimented, and I did not have a lot of reading time. You got up in the morning, usually at 6 a.m., got to a 7 a.m. breakfast, and was on the bus to your new location by 8 a.m. You usually drove around for an hour, saw a site, listened to the tour guide, then got some lunch, got on the bus again, listened to the tour guide, and then got to your destination for some dinner, and then you were dead tired. So, as I said, not a lot of time to read Irish ghost stories and hauntings, but this one looks kind of interesting. I'm sure it's going to have a very good Irish flair. What is it about Ireland's past that haunts the imagination? More than one answer can be found in Michael Scott's powerful new series of 29 tales spanning the centuries with the ease of a ghost. To start with, in newly Christianized Ireland, monks do battle with a devilish monster that has killed a river. All the waters, rivers, and lofts in this collection conceal dangers that men and women would best avoid. The pagan spirits of the legendary Tuatha De Danann, people's ancient Erin, taken from the forms of mermaids and knights on chargers, ready to tempt Ireland's new conquerors, the humankind, supernatural forces hide under the waves, in bogs, in the very land, waiting. Anyone with a sense of adventure, or who is just curious, is potential prey. A pregnant woman is drawn to a standing stone with terrifying results. A priest determined to conduct a vengeful exorcism finds his faith apocalyptically challenged. A Dutchman tries to build a house between two mounds inhabited by an army of spirits, lethally disturbed by his efforts. With his usual inventiveness in each story, Michael Scott juxtaposes the old and the new, the ancient and the modern, and shows that in everyday situations, the curses of Ireland's mythic past lie imp-like, threatening destruction. I really do want to read more about Ireland's ghosts. One of the stops in my tour was Ballintubber Abbey in County Mayo. There, King Cathal founded an abbey in 1216. And there was a tour guide who told us the story of Sean the priest hunter. The story is set in the 1700s, where Sean was caught. He was a horse thief and sentenced to death, unless he wanted to become a priest hunter. At this time in Ireland, Catholic priests were sentenced to death. They were not allowed to be. Now, Sean thought about it: to die or to be a priest hunter? Let's be a priest hunter. And this the woman giving the tour told an excellent story of Sean and his demise. And her storytelling was absolutely superb. Sometimes we focus too much on the written version of storytelling and forget that oral storytelling is equally as fascinating and captivating. But they had this pamphlet of Sean the priest hunter for only €3. And since I was really impressed with this tour guide's storytelling, I bought the pamphlet. This pamphlet was taken from an 1839 account of Sean the priest hunter. This account is 20 pages long and is about as exciting as dull, dirty dishwater. So I truly appreciate my tour guide who told an excellent story of Sean the priest hunter. And this pamphlet, it's only €3. But again, it just goes to show that oral storytelling is extremely powerful. And that is my little Irish book haul. I did not buy a whole lot of books because, as I said, most of the books available in Ireland are available cheaper in the United States, but I'm glad I picked up these books. I had an absolute blast on my tour. If you ever get a chance to visit Ireland, I highly recommend it. Tours are problematic because I said it's highly regimented. I did not have a lot of downtime. I did not have a lot of reading time, but still, Ireland is such a beautiful, wonderful country that everyone, I think, should visit it. Thank you for watching and keep on reading.